The twin moons of Zorathis painted the valley in silver and violet, their light glinting off the bioluminescent moss that carpeted Lyra's village. She crouched behind a crumbling stone wall, her three-fingered hands trembling as she adjusted the stolen frequency scanner. The device, a clunky, rusted thing Kale had cobbled together from scrap, hummed fitfully in her grip. "You're pushing too hard again, little star," Kale's voice echoed in her memory. His laugh warmed despite the chiding. He'd taught her to pilot skiffs, to read star charts, to question everything. But questioning the Eternal Wardens? That, their elders said, was how fools vanished. Like Kale did. Lyra shoved the thought away and squinted at the scanner's flickering hologram. For 3 cycles since her brother's disappearance, she'd combed the radio bands nightly, defying curfew and her grandmother's warnings. The Warden's prison ships were myth, the elders insisted. Ghost stories to keep children obedient. But Lyra had seen the scars on Kale's arms after his last expedition, the way he'd whispered about a spire that drinks screams. Beep. The scanner shrieked suddenly, its green light flaring. Lyra fumbled to mute it, her heart pounding as she glanced toward the village square. No movement. The air smelled of damp soil and the faint ozone tang of the force field protecting their huts. She exhaled, her breath condensing in the chill, and peered at the readout. A signal. Weak, encrypted but familiar. Her pulse thrummed as she entered Kale's decryption key, the melody of their childhood lullaby. The hologram resolved into jagged text. Void Spire Cell 7, Athruna. Kale VYR. Life support critical. Asterisk, asterisk. The words dissolved into static. Lyra stared at the dying hologram, her throat tight. Kale was alive, and he was in the spire. "You'll join him in the void if you chase phantoms." Grandmother Visra hissed, her frilled cranial tendrils flushed crimson with anger. The elder blocked the doorway of their pod-like home, her robes billowing in the windstorm rattling the force field outside. The Wardens punished defiance. Always. Your parents learned that. Kale learned it. Must you? They're real, Lyra snapped, clutching the scanner to her chest. The village alarms wailed as the storm's emerald lightning clawed at the shield. "He's alive. I have coordinates." Delusions. Visra slammed her staff against the floor, bioluminescent fungi flaring underfoot. The Wardens are dust and parables. Kale flew too deep into the belt and paid the price. As will you. Lyra stepped back, her boots sinking into the spongy floor. The pod's walls throbbed with memories. Kale mending her sprained wrist after a failed climb. Kale sneaking her sweets from the trading post. Kale's face hardening when she'd begged to join his last flight. Asterisk, some skies aren't meant for you, little star. Asterisk, if I don't go, he dies alone, Lyra said quietly. Visra's tendrils drooped. Then mourn him, but do not become him. The hangar reeked of engine grease and desperation. Lyra crept past dormant harvest skiffs, her stolen guard's uniform slick with sweat. Kale's old ship sat in the far bay, a dented wedge-shaped relic he'd nicknamed the Stardust Moat. Her palms itched. She'd only flown Sims. Asterisk, override code. Asterisk, the ship's AI droned as she scrambled into the cockpit. Nix's lullaby. Kale's password. Asterisk, voice print mismatch. Initiating security. Asterisk. Override. Delta Zeta 9 Alpha. Lyra blurted, reciting the code he'd scrawled in her notebook. Silence. Then the console flickered to life, casting her face in blue light. "Welcome, Captain VYR," the AI intoned. She almost laughed. Kale's doing. He'd programmed it years ago, grinning as he'd said, Asterisk, someday you'll need wings, little star. Asterisk. Sirens blared. Guards shouted. They'd tripped the perimeter sensors. Engage thrusters. Lyra yanked the flight gloves Kale had left behind. Too big, but still warm from the locker's heaters. The hangar doors began sealing. Calculating escape trajectory, the AI said. Asterisk probability of survival, 17%. Asterisk. Do it. The engines roared. Lyra slammed back into her seat as the moat lurched forward, skidding across the bay. A guard lunged, stun baton raised. She veered, clipping a cargo crate. The impact rattled her teeth. Hull integrity, 82%, the AI reported. Not helping. The closing hangar doors loomed, a shrinking slit of star-flecked sky. Lyra gripped the controls. Kale's voice in her head. Asterisk, fears just gravity. Pull through it. Asterisk. She punched the throttle. The moat shuddered violently as it scraped through the gap, shield sparks raining against the view screen. Lyra hooped, her twin hearts hammering. Zorithis dwindled below, its emerald storms now mere ripples under the moons. Then the scanner pinged. The hologram flickered, reconstructing Kale's message. New words surfaced. Wardens harvesting us. Lyra, don't. Asterisk, asterisk. Static. Then, faint but clear, Kale's voice. Little star, turn back. Lyra froze. He sounded hollow, broken. Nothing like the brother who'd taught her to fly. Course adjustment required, the AI said. Asterisk, proceed to coordinates? Asterisk. She gazed at the stars. Somewhere out there, the void spire waited. A prison that broke souls. A brother who thought her a child. Lyra straightened. Set course. Maximum burn. Asterisk acknowledged. ETA, 14 cycles. Asterisk. As the engines flared, Lyra unfolded the crumpled sketch in her pocket, Kale's drawing of them standing atop the Crimson Ridge, their hands clasped. She'd add to that drawing soon, or die trying. The void spire wasn't ship. It was a corpse. Lyra hovered the moat at a safe distance, her breath fogging the view screen. The prison loomed, a jagged obsidian shard studded with pulsing crimson veins, its surface writhing like maggots beneath rotten flesh. Organic. Alive. Kale's final logs had mentioned the spire's sentience, but seeing it curdle the starlight around it made her stomach twist. No docking ports detected, the AI said. Asterisk scans suggest internal geometry shifts every 47.2 cycles. Asterisk. So walk in through the mouth, Lyra muttered, eyeing a cavernous opening rippling with tooth-like barbs. Her boots clanged against the moat's floor as she stuffed her pack. Rations, Kale's old plasma cutter, vials of luminous moss from home. Useless things, maybe, but they smelled familiar. She sealed her helmet, her reflection grim in the visor. Keep the engines hot. I'll signal for extraction. Asterisk probability of your return, 8.3%. Asterisk, your optimism's inspiring. The airlock hissed open. The spire breathed. Lyra clung to a fleshy protrusion inside the entry tunnel, her gloves slipping on mucus-coated walls. The floor below churned with acidic bile, its green fumes hissing against her suit. Kale's voice echoed in her memory. Asterisk, never trust a structure that bleeds. Asterisk, a gurgling roar echoed ahead. She froze as a gelatinous orb the size of a shuttle oozed from the ceiling, its translucent skin revealing half-digested bones. A cleaner, she realized, dissolving intruders. Her eyes darted to the moss vials. Come on, Kale, she whispered. Be right about this. She smashed a vial against the wall. The moss flared to life, its blue glow refracting through the orb's body. The creature recoiled, shuddering, before collapsing into a steaming puddle. Lyra exhaled. Thanks, brother. 3 hours later, the spire reshaped itself in whispers. Corridors sealed shut, staircases inverted. Lyra mapped her path by carving symbols into the walls with her cutter, but even the scorch marks faded, healed by the spire's creeping biomass. She found a first prisoner in a cocoon. The man hung suspended in a mucus sack, his insectoid face contorted in agony. His chest bore the warden's mark, a branded helix. Lyra reached to cut him free when his eyes snapped open, glowing crimson. Turn back, he rasped, voice echoing in her skull. Asterisk, they taste your fear. They asterisk feed, asterisk on it. Asterisk, the sack burst. Lyra stumbled back as the prisoner lunged, claws extended, then disintegrated mid-air, his body dissolving into mist that seeped into the walls. The spire shuddered, its veins brightening. Harvesting, she realized. This is how they sustain it. Flashback 2 years earlier. Run, Lyra, Kale shouted, shoving her into a crevice. The avalanche of crystalline boulders roared toward them, kicked up by the rogue storm. Their skiff lay shattered in the valley below. She trembled, clutching his arm. We'll die here. Asterisk. He pressed his forehead to hers, their cranial tendrils intertwining. A gesture of comfort. Listen, fear's just data. What's it telling you? Asterisk. That we're trapped. Asterisk. Wrong. He grinned, wild and bright. It's telling you to look up. Asterisk. Above them. The storm's winds whipped the canyon into a vortex. Kale's plan clicked. The thermal updraft. We can ride it. Asterisk. There's my star. He clasped her hand. Now pull. Asterisk. Present. Lyra woke coughing, her oxygen meter blaring. She'd passed out in a side tunnel, her suit punctured by a barbed vine. The spire had siphoned her nightmares while she slept. She'd dreamt of Kale dissolving like the prisoner. Weakness is fuel here, she thought, patching the tear with resin. Her bioluminescent tears streaked the visor, and she paused. Light disrupts the spire systems. She harvested a vial of her own tears, hands shaking. The central chamber was a cathedral of suffering. Lyra crouched on a bone-like ledge overlooking a vast pit. Below, hundreds of cocoons pulsed, their prisoners' screams harmonizing into a drone that vibrated in her teeth. Towering over them were the wardens, skeletal, four-armed figures encased in black armor, their faces hidden behind smooth masks. They moved like spiders, harvesting mist from the cocoons into glowing canisters. Life force. Kale's warning made sense now. A sudden screech. One warden snapped its head toward Lyra. She ducked, but it was too late. The ledge beneath her liquefied, dropping her into the pit. The guardian. The warden descended, its limbs unfolding into bladed stilts. Lyra scrambled backward, drawing her cutter. Fleshling. It intoned, voice like grinding gears. Asterisk. You volunteer to feed the spire? Asterisk. She lunged, slicing at its leg. The blade screeched harmlessly off its armor. Inefficient, the warden said. It backhanded her into a cocoon. Her helmet cracked. The prisoner inside, a child with opalescent scales, reached for her, dissolving mid-sob. Lyra's tears welled. Enough. She smashed the tear vial. The bioluminescent liquid splashed the warden's mask. It hissed, stumbling, as the light seared its armor. You fear this. Lyra spat, hurling another vial. What's that data telling you? The warden shrieked, thrashing, as the light ate through its exoskeleton. Lyra didn't wait. She sprinted, leaping cocoon to cocoon, until she spotted a ventilation shaft. The last thing she heard before crawling inside was the warden's vow. Your brother will scream your name as we break him. The truth. The shaft opened into a dim chamber. Lyra collapsed, her suit torn, ribs bruised. But the horror of the pit faded as she saw the murals. They covered the walls, ancient, faded. Depictions of wardens not as conquerors, but supplicants, kneeling before a dying star, drinking its light. A fleet of spires fleeing a galaxy-wide cataclysm. Refugees, she realized. The wardens were fleeing extinction, sustaining themselves by harvesting others. Kale's logs had hinted at it, but this... A noise behind her. Lyra spun, cutter raised, as a figure emerged from the shadows. Not a warden, but a haggard humanoid in tattered robes, his eyes glowing faintly blue. You're not one of them, she breathed. Nor are you, he said, voice raspy from disuse. But if you want to save your brother, you'll need more than tears and luck. He tossed her a canister of the warden's glowing harvest. Steal this, he said, or join the feast. The defector called himself Vaith. He moved like a shadow, his robe's frayed edges dissolving into the spire's gloom. Lyra studied him as they crept through the ribcage-like tunnels, the stolen canister of life force glowing in her pack. Why help me? She whispered, stepping over a vein pulsing with faint crimson light. Vaith didn't turn. The Wardens took my daughter. You've seen what they do to children here. Lyra thought of the opalescent-scaled child dissolving in the pit. So this is a trade? My brother for your girl? All survival is transactional here, he said coldly. Even yours. The price of light. Vaith led her to a hollowed-out chamber reeking of rust and decay. Maps, scratched into the walls with nails or claws, depicted the spire's shifting core. Your brother's in the chrysalis tier, Vaith said, tapping a cluster of spiral sigils. Wardens rebuild prisoners there, break their minds, then repurpose them as harvesters. Lyra's stomach lurched. Repurpose. She'd seen the hollow-eyed prisoners herding others into cocoons. How do we stop it? Vaith nodded to her pack. Inject that stolen energy into the tier's core. It'll destabilize the Warden's hold long enough to extract him. And your daughter? She's in the same tier. His voice cracked. Free one, free all. Lyra gripped the canister. Too simple. Too clean. What aren't you saying? Vaith hesitated. The core is guarded by a husk. A prisoner turned into a living weapon. To reach it, someone must distract it. Their eyes met. You're asking me to die, Lyra said. I'm asking you to choose, Vaith replied. Flashback, 5 years earlier. The fire swallowed Lyra's home in minutes. Asterisk she'd hidden in the root cellar, clutching Kale's jacket, the one he'd draped over her after nightmares. Outside, her parents' voices rose in defiance, then fell silent. The Warden's drones had come for their research, they'd said, for prying into forbidden skies. Asterisk Kale found her at dawn, his face streaked with ash. They're gone, he'd said hollow. Then, seeing her tremble, he pulled her close. But I'm here. Always. Asterisk. Always, Lyra thought bitterly. Until he left too. Present. The chrysalis tier was a crown of agony. Lyra crouched behind a tumor-like growth, peering into the vast chamber. The air thrummed with mechanical screams as conveyor belts carried prisoners toward a pulsating orb, the core. Above it loomed the husk, a monstrous fusion of flesh and machinery, its dozen eyes scanning for threats. Vaith pressed a shiv into her hand. When I signal, run, the husk's drawn to sound. And you, I'll free the prisoners. His gaze shifted toward a cluster of cocoons. One held a small figure with Vaith's glowing blue eyes. Lyra gripped his arm. We save both of them. Promise me. Vaith's jaw tightened. I promise. The husk. Vaith's scream echoed through the chamber as he leapt onto a conveyor belt, slashing at the husk with a broken pipe. The beast howled, lurching toward him. Now, Lyra sprinted, her boots slipping on blood-slick floors. The core throbbed ahead, its surface swirling with trapped faces. Kale's among them? She couldn't tell. Intruder, the husk gurgled, suddenly wheeling toward her. Vaith lay motionless beneath a crushed conveyor, his daughter's cocoon just out of reach. He lied. Lyra dove as the husk's claw shredded the air where she'd stood. She rolled, fumbling with the canister. Asterisk, Lyra. Asterisk. The voice froze her. Kale stood in the chamber's far doorway, alive but altered, his left arm replaced by a Warden's serrated limb, his eyes dull as dead stars. Kale! She reached for him. The husk struck. Broken bonds. Pain exploded in Lyra's side as the husk flung her against the core. She gasped, ribs cracking, as the machine's tendrils coiled around her legs. The canister rolled away. Kale watched, unblinking. Fight them, Lyra screamed, clawing at the tendrils. You're Kale Vyr. You taught me to pull through it. His face twitched. For a heartbeat, she saw her brother, terrified, trapped. Then the Warden's armor encasing his body flared, and his expression flattened. Kale Vyr is gone, he intoned. Comply, and your death will nourish the spire. The husk raised its claw. Lyra did the only thing left. She smashed her bioluminescent tear vial across the core. Light erupted. Retreat. The chamber shook. Alarms wailed as the overloaded core spat arcs of energy, searing the husk to ash. Lyra scrambled free, grabbing the canister. Kale, please. He staggered, clutching his head. Lyra? She lunged for him, but Warden reinforcements flooded the chamber. Kale's armor reactivated, his eyes hardening. Leave. Now. His voice broke, half order, half plea. Lyra ran. The cost. The moat's medbay stank of antiseptic and regret. Lyra slumped in the pilot's seat, her side bandaged, Vath's shiv clutched like a talisman. She made it back, barely. The Spire's retaliation had cost her the ship's shields and half its fuel. Probability of surviving returned to Zorathis. 3%, the AI said. Not going back, Lyra muttered. She pulled up Kale's fractured psyche scan from a core, a flickering hologram of his neural patterns. The Wardens hadn't just broken him. They'd hollowed him, grafting their tech into his mind. But in the scan's deepest layers, she spotted it, a shard of him buried. A memory. Asterisk their parents' funeral pyre. Kale, 15 cycles old, holding her as she cried. They stood defiant, he'd said. That's how we'll remember them. That's how we'll asterisk be starred. Asterisk. Lyra's tears dripped onto the console. She'd vowed to save him. Instead, she'd armed his jailers. The comms crackled. Lyra VYR. A warden's voice, smooth and venomous. Your brother begs to thank you. Watch. The screen flared to life. Kale stood in his cell, his warden armor gone. Raw, weeping scars crisscrossed his chest. Lyra, he whispered. I remember the Crimson Ridge. The updraft. He smiled, bloody but true. Asterisk pull started. The transmission died. Lyra sat in the dark, her brother's plea echoing. Then she stood, wincing, and began reprogramming the moat as thrusters. The moat hurtled toward the Spire's core, engines shrieking. Lyra strapped herself into the pilot's seat, her side still bandaged, Kale's neural scan glowing on the console. She'd rewired the ship's thrusters into a bomb and her tears into a weapon. A suicide run, the AI said. No, she thought. A promise. Calculate trajectory through the chrysalis tier, she ordered. Collision course confirmed, the AI replied. Asterisk, shields non-functional. Hull integrity, 21%. Asterisk, Lyra gripped the controls. Then let's make it count. The storming. The moat tore through the Spire's flesh-like hull, spewing molten debris. Lyra ejected moments before impact, her thrust pack flaring as she soared into the chaos. Below, the burning ship plowed into the chrysalis tier, igniting the core. The explosion ripped through the Spire. Alchemical fire consumed the walls, melting warden and prisoner alike. Lyra landed hard, rolling to avoid a collapsing archway. Through the smoke, she saw them. Dozens of prisoners fleeing the flames, their bonds broken by the blast. The warden's armor fails when the Spire weakens, she shouted, tossing her spare plasma cutter to a hulking reptilian prisoner. Fight or burn. The mob roared. Flashback, one cycle earlier. Asterisk Lyra had studied Kale's neural scan until her eyes burned. The warden's tech in his mind was a parasite, a black helix strangling his memories. But in the scan's chaos, she'd found a frequency. A song, asterisk, their lullaby. You're mad, the AI had said as she'd modded the comms array. Asterisk, broadcasting this will drain power from life support. Asterisk Lyra didn't care. Music had saved her once. It would save Kale. Asterisk. Present. Lyra fought her way toward the Spire's heart, the prisoners' rebellion surging around her. Wardens fell, their armor cracking under makeshift weapons. But the Spire was healing itself, its veins rerouting energy to seal the damage. Asterisk Lyra. Asterisk. She froze. Kale stood ahead, alone in a stabilized corridor. No armor. No weapons. Just her brother, whole and unbroken. It's a projection, she whispered. He smiled. You've grown, little star. Don't. She aimed her cutter at him, hand shaking. I won't let you manipulate me. The illusion flickered, revealing the warden leader beneath. A skeletal titan with Kale's stolen face etched into its chest plate. You waste your breath, it boomed. Asterisk. Your brother is ours. This war is asterisk ours. Asterisk, you are nothing but fuel. Asterisk. Lyra fired. the heart of the spire. The battle led her upward to a vaulted chamber where the spire's original star drive pulsed, a dying sun encased in black crystal. The warden leader awaited, Kale's body floating beside it in a stasis field. "Beg," it said, "and I'll let him watch you die." Lyra activated her comm now, Kale. The lullaby blared across every frequency. The resonance. Kale's eyes snapped open. Inside his mind, the song reverberated. Asterisk their asterisk song, the one he'd hummed as he stitched her wounds, as he'd steadied her first flight. The warden's grip faltered. "You cannot," the leader hissed, clutching its head. Lyra lunged, jamming her last tear vial into the star drive's casing. "You shouldn't have taken his voice." Light erupted. The unmaking. The star drive overloaded, its energy merging with Lyra's bioluminescence. The spire's veins turned gold, then white, burning from within. Prisoners froze mid-strike as the warden's armor disintegrated, their true forms exposed. Withered, radiation-scarred creatures clinging to stolen life. The leader screeched, collapsing into ash. Kale dropped from the stasis field. Lyra caught him, stumbling under his weight. "You pulled," he rasped, his organic hand brushing her face. "Always," she said. "Escape." The spire died in symphonic collapse. Lyra half-dragged Kale through disintegrating halls, the prisoners fleeing ahead of them. They reached the hangar as the floor crumbled, revealing the void below. A salvaged warden shuttle awaited, its hatch open. The reptilian prisoner waved them aboard. "Move, little warrior. This tomb's got seconds." They leapt. The shuttle lurched free as the spire imploded behind them, its final scream echoing across the stars. Epilogue: the unshackled sky. Zradiz's moss-glowed valleys were smaller than Lyra remembered. She stood at the edge of the village, Kale beside her, his warden arm replaced by a rudimentary prosthetic. He'd asked to come alone. "They'll blame you," he'd said. She'd shrugged. "Let them." Grandmother Viscera emerged, her tendrils pale with shock. "You live." "No thanks to you," Lyra said. Viscera's gaze fell on Kale. "And you bring corruption here?" Lyra ignited her cutter. "We bring truth. The wardens aren't myths. They're cowards. And cowards bleed." The villagers murmured. A child stepped forward, Lyra's cousin, barely hip-high. "Teach us," she said. Kale laughed, raw but alive. Lyra knelt, pressing her forehead to the child's. "First lesson, fear's just gravity." Later, the shuttle hovered above the Crimson Ridge, its hold packed with volunteers, former prisoners, Zorathis outcasts, even a blue-eyed girl, Vaitha's daughter, tinkering with explosives. Lyra studied the star chart, Kale's hand on her shoulder. "Where first?" She smiled. "Wherever they're afraid." As the ship ascended, Lyra unfolded the old sketch of them on the ridge. Now it showed a fleet at their backs and a galaxy waiting.